Hollywood is actually in Kansas City. There are other updates, guys returning, guys going out, and changes after week 1 today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another week closer to the NFL season, and we are going to break down everything that's changed since the Chiefs were on the field over the weekend. If you missed our live stream post-game, make sure you like and sub and hit the bell here on Locked On Chiefs on YouTube, because that's where it all starts. And then we go out to the audio platforms on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can get a free audio podcast. You can get us after the fact. But if you want to participate, it's the live streams that are post-game that we have the most fun with, and you get the instant reaction. So make sure you're subbed over there. We're brought to you today by LinkedIn. They always do a good job of helping you find the most qualified candidates for the people that you're looking for faster and for free. You can sign up at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Conditions are going to apply to a number of players. We're going to get to that here shortly. This is Chris Clark, owner and operator of KC Chiefs Kingdom. KC Chiefs Corner, sorry. I got the finger point right. But I figure if I do it that way, I'll never be wrong, right? Okay. It'll be great. You can find him and breaking down all the post-game action, quarterbacks, cap, the whole 9 yards. Cap is something that we're going to talk about here probably coming up later in the week as we get a little bit closer. I'm Brian Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics, Performance Consulting, as well as RGR Football and NFL 33, where I'm breaking down the other things that are going on in the league. You can get content over there. Make sure you go out and check those. If you're into the Substack thing and you still like to read content, check out both of those because I think you'll dig it. And if you want all the breaking news directly from us and you want to have a conversation with Chris and I, get on the text line. It's where our locals hang out. Our locals are our everyday listeners. We love you guys. The text line's 816-357-8781. You can get in on that. So what's next for the starters coming up in preseason game number 2? That's going to be later in the show. We're going to get after it here also with what is the changes that are the reaction to week 1. And we start right now with a big update on personnel here from Andy Reid today. Hollywood Brown back in Kansas City, has flown home. It was a sternoclavicular. I said AC for the last 2 days because I have AC instead of SC in my head. It is the sternoclavicular joint, not the AC joint, that was reduced under anesthesia, put back into place is basically what that means. No surgery required. That is a huge hurdle for Hollywood. I'm really relieved to see that, and I think that will speed his recovery. We don't know when that is, but surgery would have delayed that at least a number of weeks. I'm feeling better about it. How are you?
Well, I feel better about it. I still think he's probably I don't want to, I guess I won't speculate. I would say that I think that it's possible. Maybe he could be ready for week 1. I think that's at the early end of things, but we'll see. I'm really curious to see how that ends up because I do think that he's going to be an important part of this offense, but this goes back to everything that we've talked about this offseason. Wide receiver was a position that they went out and they tried to address and get better at. And one thing we did see is Rashee Rice has looked pretty good in camp. So I think that's a big plus. I think he's looking better than he did at any point last year. And obviously he's going to know the offense and he's going to be comfortable with it. And it looks like Xavier Worthy also had a comment about how that first play was supposed to be a shot play to him. But because the safety rotated the way they did, they didn't take it. So something to watch there. Andy Reid was trying to send a message early. And I think so is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Sometimes they're going to mess up your plans by playing what is a coverage that you don't want to get into. But just having that out there, and as we said post game, like his presence was felt in what he's able to drive down the field. So certainly is good to see him. That he also said today that he spoke with Hollywood and that he's in good spirits, and so I'm glad for that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back and watch, and this is only really visible on all 22, so if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to see it. But if you have all 22. Go back and watch the end zone view of the last pass that went incomplete to Rashee Rice, because what you will see is Worthy is on the outside, and he is going to be open for a touchdown. I understand why Mahomes didn't take it, But if he decided he wanted to take it, he had Worthy for a touchdown. At least from what I saw, it sure looked like he would have had him over the top. If he would have waited another, second to throw the ball, he would have had Worthy down the field for a TD. So Worthy definitely showed his ability to get deep down the field, and I think that's going to pay dividends for this Chiefs team.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, good to have those options. Another injury update. Wanya Morris has a bone bruise in that knee. Very, very difficult to play through, especially for a man that size. Travis Kelce had a lot of trouble with it last season as he hyperextended there just before week 1, and he had to miss that week. Similar situation. But at Wanya's weight, I think it's even more difficult to load bear on that bone. So we'll see what happens with him as he progresses. That can be, it's all dependent on the person. You can progress pretty quickly depending on the severity of it, or it may take a little bit. So luckily I think it's early in camp, and that's pretty good. On the positive side, Justin Reid was out at camp practice, as was Nick Bolton. It's been quite a while for Bolton. I'm relieved to see both of them. How do you feel now that they're back out there? Maybe not full, but going.
You said something about Wanya Morris. I want to say something about that really quick. The other thing that really came out of the game that I don't think we really talked about, Suamataia comes out immediately when all the first stringers come out. To me, that tells you, I think, that that battle is pretty much over at this point. Just want to specify that. I hope Morris gets healthy, and I hope that he's able to contribute. I'm excited to have both Reid and Bolton out there because you also didn't have Cook today. So Reid comes out and plays safety, but you lose Cook. Now, to be clear, the reason Cook wasn't there is it sounds like he's getting ready to have a kid. So it was an excused absence. Makes sense. And I don't think that that's going to be something that's obviously not going to be something long-term and something you have to worry about. It's not injury related. So congratulations to him for becoming a father, or having a kid, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Kudos for him. Yeah. That's a good reason to miss a day of camp and get yourself a little extra rest as well. So there's pluses all the way around. There are pluses and minuses on what happened in the wake of preseason game number 1. We're going to get to those changes coming up next. Passion, drive, patience. It brings the trophy home, and just like the Chiefs have. And it can also affect your main vehicle, your ride or die. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain that vehicle, give it its peak performance, as well as over-the-top superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, everything to make it speedy, powerful, and stylish, all at eBay Motors, because they have you covered. Over 122 million parts for your or die, and you'll always find exactly what you're looking for, because eBay has a guaranteed fit. Your part will fit your ride every single time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're not burning cash. You're burning rubber. At least you're trying to. With all the parts that you need and the pieces that you want, it's easy to turn your car into an MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. Guaranteed fit is available for U.S. customers only. And if you need 24/7 coverage of the NFL, we have you covered. It's over on Locked On NFL Today. It is a 24-hour stream of all of our content around the NFL here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure that you get over there and check that out for whenever you happen to be up and about and need to learn something about another team or our team or anything else NFL related. Get in there. It's Locked On NFL Today here and on Amazon Fire TV. Now, a lot of changes come down week 1. This is always my favorite week of the year because you see what you've put on film and how it directly affects what happens next. Wanya puts a little bit of a wrinkle into it, but what we saw was a shakeup on the second line of the offensive line. A lot of folks have concerns about what they saw the offensive line when the backups came in. Again, a very short night for the ones, but a little flipping of sides at the tackle spot, where today they started with Niang at left tackle, Driscoll at right, his former home. So I do think there's a comfort factor there. Hansen at left guard, Norzad in the middle, and Caliendo back at right guard. I feel that's a direct reaction to what we saw on the field for especially all three of the interior players. A little bit more guessing on the tackles for me, just to see what you have now after a little game action. How did you take these moves?
I think it's interesting. That also means that Tooney was LG1, which if that's the case, if he's getting closer back to playing, I think that's a positive sign. Now, whether or not he actually plays in week 2 preseason, we'll see. I would expect that Caliendo is still going to be the guy that's playing there, and that's something to watch because maybe they give Norzad a chance to go and play, the starting left guard for this next game, because that's going to be something that's, we have to figure out who's going to be that next guy up on the interior. We know that guy, at least on the exterior, is Wanye Morris. Is he going to be the 6th offensive lineman, regardless of interior, exterior? Maybe, we'll see. When it comes to Driscoll playing right tackle, I think that's encouraging. If he can come in and do that, I think that you have to feel good. And maybe he's going to be a practice squad guy. I still don't see how he's going to be on the roster. The only way he makes the roster is if he shows that he can beat out Lucas Niang. If they keep 4 tackles, which is a question at this point as well. So I do think that, it's going to be curious to see how that plays out. And the other thing that also means is that Godric has moved back to 3rd team, which also says that he's likely not going to make this team. And yeah, he's practice squad eligible and he would be exempt on the practice squad. Though I think the other thing that you would have to play into that is you also have a situation where you have Louis Rees-Zammit, who would be eligible for an exemption on the practice squad. So curious to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's somebody I want to talk about later in the week in particular, because I think the jump from week 1 to week 2 for Louis Rees-Zammit is going to be the tail of the tape of whether he can get onto the roster or whether he's destined for the practice squad at this point. Other changes at camp today following preseason game number 1. Obviously, with the Hollywood injury, you needed to rotate some guys in there. Sky Moore, Justin Ross, obviously Worthy running some routes from different spots, rotating in with the ones, along with McCole Hardman. And I think that makes a lot of sense for me, especially for Worthy, Moore, and Hardman, guys that have been on the field for this team before. I hope that they continue to feed Ross the type of passes that he can take advantage of, that are his style. Everybody has heard us say that we don't think Ross is really destined for the roster because they don't use his skill set very well. It's not that there's anything against the player. It's just to this point, they haven't been willing to play his kind of ball. If that's changing, that's significant. And I like the idea of a big-bodied guy that can go in at the catch point, and you're going to let him do it. I'm all for it if that's the turning of the tide for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
It'll be interesting to watch. I think Kadarius Toney also returned to practice today, and he also got some snaps out there, wide receivers. So that's going to be something to watch as well. The big question and what we really have to figure out, and we'll figure this out more when it comes to the week 2 preseason game, is, where's Justin Watson? Is he going to play in this next game? If he doesn't play in this next game, then it's really a question as to how that's going to play out, because he's not going to play in the week 3. And right now, you and I both think that he's on the roster just based on the fact that they trust him and they know he will be where he is supposed to be. But we haven't seen anything from him, so it's really hard to know where he is and how that relates to what he was able to do last year for this team.
And as I'm double checking just to make sure that he was out at practice, he was not listed as someone who didn't participate. So I'm not sure if he's just coming along slowly because of the recovery or what that means. But you're absolutely right. If we don't see him this week, things are looking a little bit dim for my projection for him. But there's more to it than just my projection. It comes down to winning ball games. And with Justin Reid coming back, I'm really interested to see how they choose to shift things. I thought I was very happy with Jaden Hicks' performance. He's somebody that is leading the riser list in my opinion.
Yep.
But what does Jay Reid's presence mean for him and Shamar Connor in terms of who's filling in, especially on a day where Brian Cook's, out helping his personal or significant other have a baby? I know he's not doing the work, folks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it's going to be curious because I like what I saw from Hicks. I want to see more of Hicks. I would also say that I would imagine it's likely that Nick Bolton and Justin Reid don't play in this game. Maybe Bolton has a better chance coming up on Saturday since he actually had practiced beforehand. But with Reid not having any practice, I have a hard time believing that they're going to put him out there as a starter, which actually works to Jaden Hicks' advantage because that means he gets more snaps and he could maybe see, snaps. I would imagine they keep him out after the second quarter, but maybe he sees snaps into the third quarter so he gets more work because it's going to be different once Reid is back. The other side of that, though, is Reid's likely not going to play again, like we said, in the third preseason game. So Hicks also would probably be getting a lot more snaps there. It's something to watch. This whole with 3 preseason games, it's a little different than when they had 4. And they've had to make adjustments, and it's always interesting to see how they adjust from one game to the next. I do think that Reid's going to go with closer to a full half for the entire first string, and I think that that's the right way to go. You need to get these guys some experience and some time with each other and some chemistry on the field in a real game scenario.
Yeah, certainly on defense.
Offensive
who's going to be out there
too
with him is the question. Yeah, very true, very true. You can call them that we've seen sightings per my Twitter account. There's been sightings of Thor and the Man of Steel out at camp. Who gets more reps with the starters? What's the difference coming up next on the Locked On Podcast Network? When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find the quality professionals with the right fit for the right role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. It has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team. I'm always looking at LinkedIn. It isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively looking or searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. It goes down the easiest way to post your job for free is on LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Thank you for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen. Maybe the Broncos with their rookie quarterback coming along. Maybe somebody outside the division, the Baltimore Ravens. Might want to start taking a look at them as well. We have it all covered for you here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and we appreciate that. Also, check out KC Chiefs Corner so you can get subscribed to that Substack as well as NFL 33. We'd appreciate it. And I'll be live over on RGR later tonight if you want to join us there as well. Reaction here. You don't even want to go here?
Go ahead. Go. I know where you're going to go, and that's fine. I'm just shaking my head because you're calling him Thor. It is what it is. It doesn't shock me. It
wasn't me. I'm just quoting what I see. I'm just quoting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you have to put it out there. Go ahead. It's all right.
A media darling, Carson Steele, has made an impression not just with fans, but with reporters all over this beat and the whole 9 yards. And most importantly, all joking aside, was out there and got some action with the ones today. It was just a light practice. It was not, the padded grind here, but that's significant and quite reactionary. And I was personally gratified to hear Carson say what I've been saying since draft weekend is that he didn't play fullback at UCLA. He's not a fullback. He's going to learn to play fullback for the Kansas City Chiefs because he's got that power style, but he is a running back and he can do that. He can do H. He can do a number of things. All that having been confirmed, it sounds like Andy sees what I see and that he should be a part of this offense going forward. He talked about he's got to play some teams and do some stuff, but he will carry the ball and that's how he'll make this roster.
Yeah, he said the way he makes this roster is he has to show he can do it on special teams. That is so big, and people don't give it enough credit when it comes down to who's going to make this roster. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a chance to be on the roster. I think he showed he has the ability to go and do well in this offense. And if he can add that specific role of playing fullback for this team, that heightens his chances even further. But you have to be able to contribute on special teams. And if you can contribute on special teams, you have a way to make this roster, because right now you're sitting in a situation where I still think at best he's number 4 at running back.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to,
Agreed.
So I would think you'd have to keep 4. And we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Prince has taken all the first team and second team snaps throughout training camp. If that starts to change, which we didn't hear today, maybe that's something to watch, but it sure would seem like Prince is going to be on this roster as well. And the other thing Pritz has going for him is he's also a special teams guy. Now, to be fair, he almost blew the kickoff, but I think that's going to be something.
You could probably say that about most of the Chiefs ST teams, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to get it figured out. The funny thing is there were people coming out after the game saying that they got it wrong and then coming back and saying that they got it right. So it's still a question I think the NFL needs to come out and specify. If it hits the end zone, is it dead? Technically speaking, I think it should be, but that's not, I think, the way the rule is right now, and that needs to be fixed before the regular season. That's a small fix that all they have to do is say, if it hits the end zone, it's a dead ball. That's the way it should be. That makes sense.
They're trying to make it not be that case, though. I think that's one of the league's goals, is to make that a returnable ball, so it's not instantly dead. You get the choice to down it if you want, but it doesn't automatically make it a dead ball. I think that's their goal. We'll see. I agree. I think that is for these starters, for everybody that's trying to make teams around the league on special teams. You have to have that clarified so that we have a much clearer picture for the players that are out there trying to do a job to get themselves a job.
Right. And so we'll see. I just think that it's really difficult. It's a difficult position to put players in if it doesn't hit the ground at all until it hits the end zone and then it bounces back into play. That is a position that is something that you could easily change, and I think needs to be addressed. If they want to say that that's part of what they want, then I think that that's a wrong deal on the league's part, because that just puts players in bad situations, but it is what it is at this point. So I do think, you look at Carson Steele, I think that he has a great chance at making the roster if he can contribute and do what he did again in week 2. And if he gets any kind of carries, or you see him get in there and play a fullback type role with the starters, that really does mean something. That means that he's looking more and more like a guy that they think can make the roster, because one of the things Reid said, I think last week, was you don't really know where the roster is until you get into these games. So these games do make some difference when it comes to things. They have an idea of where they think things are, but then they get into the game situation and different players do different things. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, as far as the starters making adjustments, normally we would see the half for the starters. I think due to the injuries to both Hollywood and to Joe Thuney, I think we have to put a little asterisk on that, because most of the starters are going to play that time, but I think they're going to rotate in at the other places as well. I think we could see multiple left guards just to get some reps with, just Sue on one side and Creed on the other, so that you get reps with Rasheed and Xavier, knowing that they're going to be the top two. So for the starters, it should be a fairly solid night, but you're also going to see some guys sprinkled in is my thought currently.
Well, and I'd be fine if Reid came out and put Mahomes in, and Mahomes only played the first quarter, and then you switch it out and you put in Carson and you sit Kelsey in the second quarter. Carson needs some time with the ones. Give him the opportunity to go out there and play with those guys and try to get some kind of rhythm with that team, because the reality is that's the only chance he's going to get of really having a chance to play with those guys. And he's not playing. I can't see there's any possible way he's playing week 3 in the preseason, and none of the other guys that are going to be starting for this team will be playing either. So this is Carson's last time to really get some time. So give him, maybe the second and even the third quarter, and then you have Oladokin and Book next week playing the entire game.
Yes, I agree. You got to mix it up and really protect what you have to do week 1 as well. Hopefully we get a further update on Hollywood here in the next couple of days. Tomorrow, it's going to be Matt Derrick with us, going over what he's seeing, what he's hearing inside training camp, to give us a little bit more lowdown on what we're looking at as the Chiefs get ready for preseason game number 2. And then we will start prepping for that, giving you our takes and what we need to see from specific position groups and specific players as we get ready for that ball game. But as of today, we hope that you enjoyed everything from training camp. It was certainly entertaining.
Yeah, it definitely was. I just want to throw out there that you have 3 more days of training camp left. Camp ends on Thursday. Is the last day of camp on Thursday. You have 9:15 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and 8:15. So it's actually an hour earlier on Thursday. Then camp will be
Time
over,
to
and
get
they'll
after
be back
it.
in Kansas City.
And remember, you do need to go sign up for it. There's a 5,000 person cap. They're still enforcing that, as I understand. So if you are trying to get out there this week, make sure that you go sign up for it. Hope that you guys are ready for it. We're excited. And it's getting closer to not only real football against another team, but real football that counts. So make sure that you like and sub and hit the bell here. Get on Chiefs Corner. Get on NFL 33. Come over to RGR Football. We're looking for a ton of action here in this next week as we see preseason game number 2 on the horizon. Thanks for being with us today.